It didn't work out. He is back, and for me, the moment would be him one-upping that performance and getting the job done this year.
All right, well, let's find out what's going to happen. It's time to crown a champion. I'm going to send it on over to Marshall and Paul here at World Championship 29.
Thank you, Maria, and welcome back to the booth here at the World Championship. That's Paul Chiano, Marshall Cycler. Thank you so much for joining us. Boy, do we have a final setup for you here. This is kind of the classic too, right? We've got Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. He's been here before.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very well-established professional player who's always seems to be at the top of the tables and knocking on the door of top eights every season. But on the other side, really a breakout season here for his opponent, Kazune Kosaka, who had a really great season. Again, not the top finishes, right? Just knocking on the door, one win, maybe a draw short at 2 top 16s at Pro Tours earlier in the year. Finally, the big breakthrough into the top 8, and well, he chose to do it at the World Championship stage. So we have very much the newcomer in his breakout performance versus Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, who's been here before.
Has been in this exact spot, right? We're talking about in the World Championship Finals against Yuta Takahashi, trying to close the deal this time around. We've seen this happen once before, right? Somebody who made it to the finals and then win at a future time in Javier Dominguez. Can JED repeat that?
This is going to be awesome. Now, both players have chosen to play similar archetypes. They're both on Esper, but there is a significant difference in the builds between the two. Jean-Emmanuel is on Esper Legends, while Kazune Kosaka is on Esper Midrange. He said it's basically a stock list. Like this was the archetype that he wanted, maybe a few sideboard changes in there.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for this list for any innovations, but there were basically none. There's one copy of Make Disappear, where most decks maybe just play Go for the Throat in the main, but that's basically it. So, I mean, if you're on John Emmanuel's side, this is a far more proactive version of the Esper deck. You don't play a lot of spells. The game plan here is to play that Skrelv turn 1, and then play a Legend every single turn and try to use that Skrelv to protect your Rafine, protect your Shieldred that you play later. Meanwhile, Kazune Kosaka, a much more reactive version of Esper Midrange, where you get to play with counter spells and a little more removal, and you want the game to go a little bit longer.
Which one would you rather have? Is there a significant difference here?
I mean, certainly cards like Thalia, that's one of the benefits that you get when you get to play the Esper Legends deck, and the Esper Midrange deck does play a lot more spells, so that could come into play. I think in this matchup, the die roll is absolutely huge, right? When you're talking about a Rafine mirror, right, the first person to get the Rafine in play has a tremendous advantage here. So I think it's going to be pretty close here. You know, Kazune does have the tools. If the game does go long, you would want to favor him, but in the games where Jean-Emmanuel is on the play and gets that start with the Skrelv, you might want his side.
Okay. Well, let's figure out what happens. We see Lord Skitter here on turn 3 for Kazune Kosaka. Jean-Emmanuel did have the Skrelv to start things off, Adenic to follow up, and then he says land go. Oh. You see that from Kazune? He says, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Go?
Land 3, go? What are you doing?
You have?
And he says that because of what you just said, Paul. This deck from Jean-Emmanuel is supposed to be proactive. It curves out with creatures. It's not sitting there trying to hold up a bunch of counter spells and removal. So the fact that he did nothing this turn really narrows down what options he may have available.
Yeah, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz played against Esper Midrange 4 times during the Swiss portions, went 2-2 in the matchups.
So once again, it seems to be a close.
They share about 60% of the cards, right?
It looks like Kazune is going to show Jean-Emmanuel how to curve out here. Now he's going to play Rafine. Jean-Emmanuel's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so
I think we're going to see Otawara here, though, before attacks happens.
Otawara, there's also Iganjo here.
Oh. So he says, I want to go to combat. Sure, make a rat.
Yeah, tough situation here for Jean-Emmanuel. Those lands that act as spells are pretty great, but Kazune just has such a wide board right now with the help of that Lord Skitter, which has been really, really impressive in this top 8.
You know what else has been really impressive? Kazune. He is just playing around everything correctly, it seems. He's dodging Iganjo here by leaving Lord Skitter back.
Yeah, he is shown that he's absolutely dialed in for this tournament.
That's right. So there was the connive trigger.
Can Jean-Emmanuel find a Rafine of his own here?
So is that plains discarded, or did he play it?
That's discarded, I believe.
Yeah.
He did draw a card.
Right.
Just kind of close to the lands there.
It's kind of right next to
Right
the lands.
next to the land, so might want to move that, yes.
All right, Denik once again wants to get frisky.
It's like, all right, block? Do I want to block?
Again, he is aware
Of Iganjo. There are multiple copies of Iganjo in
This
the
is-
Esper Legends deck.
Right, this Esper Legends deck, of course, is the deck that takes advantage of those spell lands the most because of the cheapness factor.
Going with this, going, hey, if you have the Iganjo, I'd rather lose the Lord Skitter here for the Rafine.
And then perhaps that would clear the way for Rafine to start attacking.
All right. Now Kazune considering whether or not he wants to Iganjo back, get the Denik. I believe Squirrel gives protection from colors and artifacts. Oh, excuse me, just color. I can't. I'm trying to think about what Kazune can do as a response, other than try to kill the Denik, right?
Got his own
Yeah.
Ganjo.
So using the mana there, because of course, you hit land number 5, you can just slam the Mirror Breaker here,
Right.
in that Virtue of Loyalty. And Jean-Emmanuel only has, like I mentioned, the one copy of Make Disappear, so it's going to be hard for Kazune to really play around that. Probably best not to play around it. And Urtai, Jean-Emmanuel doesn't have mana to cast Urtai. So I think Kazune is going to be really excited here. Has the opportunity to just slam Virtue of Loyalty this turn.
First things first, he's going to get in with Rafine. Just make sure he has an untapped land here. She's got a couple.
Might want to keep that Takenuma just to get something out of the graveyard later. Looks like a Denik.
The graveyard's not the worst place for a Denik.
Okay. Yeah, growing it makes it, keeps it off of the Iganjo range potentially. But yeah, there you go, Virtue.
And that's it. He looks up at Jean-Emmanuel because he knows that that is exactly how he gets ahead and stays there. Jean-Emmanuel is not equipped to deal with huge individual creatures over and over and over again. Yeah, he can take care of one or maybe another one with his lands at just the right time to push through for the last damage, but he can't just sit here and deal with these armies. All right, well, that helps.
On the Shieldred plan here, perhaps we have a little bit of a racing situation. Has, of course, the Urtai still, right? You can use the Urtai if you play the Otawara to cast the Urtai, target the Rafine, and then kill it, pay for the Ward 1. But, I mean, Kazune is going to have so many more permanents in play here. I think he found a Wedding Announcement, too, off the top. So you have Virtual Loyalty plus Wedding Announcement this turn. That's 2 more creatures with counters. And then next turn, you can just slam the second Loyalty.
Yeah. We've seen this combination of cards dominate. It takes a while to get set up. Sometimes the other decks can go over the top before you can do it. But if you have something resembling a stable board state and you get Virtue plus get a Wedding Announcement going,
yeah,
not many decks can beat that. You know, you're in the territory where you need a sweeper at the minimum, which Jean-Emmanuel's not going to have access to.
Right.
And then on top of it, any creature becomes a huge threat. Like 1/1s are big threats at that point.
Look at this.
This is unbelievable from Kazune Kosaka.
5 counters, untap everything, get a token.
Look at that. Jean-Emmanuel gave him a little assist there on an extra counter.
Yeah, I just...
yeah, no way he's coming back here.
I mean, is there a world where, with that Rafine, somehow Jean just drains Kazune out with this Shieldred? It does have protection from the Go for the Throat because of the Scrub that's in play.
Just feels like Jean-Emmanuel's going to be under mega pressure on his life total so quickly.
Yeah. Kazune is at 13. Jean-Emmanuel can go, hey, my Shieldred can't be blocked, right? I'm just going to target my Shieldred and choose white. And then white creatures can't block, and Kazune would take 4. Of course, then shields are down for a potential removal spell from Kazune to kill that Shieldred.
Right. But he may not have the luxury
right
of playing around removal spells at this point.
Rafine.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
He's targeting Denik with the Rafine trigger.
Does have the ability to Otawara the Knight token.
Okay, okay.
Hey, Denik's getting pretty big here.
Gain 4.
Okay.
Maybe before blocks.
2 cards in hand. Don't even touch those rats, Kazune.
So we're looking at, there's a 2/2, a 3/3, and the 4/7 Rafine that's in play. The 4/7 Rafine could just go in front of the Denik. You know Kazune really wants to get that Shieldred off the battlefield. Will he go for a double block? If he does, Jean-Emmanuel can use Otawara to bounce the token. Shieldred would still live, and he wouldn't lose the Denik. So that's
good.
2 creatures down on Kazune's side, and Jean-Emmanuel loses nothing.
Yeah. Jean-Emmanuel definitely has left up both blue and white mana, forcing Kazune to decide what he wants to play around. So there was some headway.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the other side of the board. Interestingly, I wonder if Kazune actually wants cards or tokens here.
That Shieldred is a little scary, though, because the Rafine trigger is not a May. It just happens.
Oh, sure.
So if you're going to attack with a bunch of things...
That's true.
Draw a bunch of cards.
Could he
you're
lock
down to
himself
11.
out?
It's possible. I mean, he can't find. He needs to find a cut down to kill the Skrelv, so that he can then use the Go for the Throat to kill the Shieldred.
Awkward.
It is. And Jean-Emmanuel's a 26.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a really great turn for Jean-Emmanuel.
It really was.
Really great turn. And he's got an Urtai in hand.
Kazune can only get away with so many attacks for the rest of the game at this point, but you know, if he doesn't have the answer now, those draw steps, he still has to get to them to find it one way or the other, so an attack of some sort is going to be in order. It's not like he can get around it.
You know, one interesting thing that I've just noticed in a lot of these tournaments that we've seen throughout this year is new cards come out, new sets come out. People like messing around with a bunch of other 4-drops. They try them out. And then we enter the finals of these Pro Tours. And there's a player in the finals with Shieldred. And guess what? They typically are the one who choose to play the full 4 copies of Shieldred.
Yeah.
And we've seen just how impressive this card is. It's been around for a while.
It's old news.
Perhaps just play 4.
But it's still great.
Right.
Okay, he discarded 2, and he did not find an additional removal spell. He's got Go for the Throat and Denik in hand. He's going to play the Denik. Maybe this helps stem the bleeding. Maybe he can put a bunch of counters on it and somehow not die.
Got a lifelink. I mean, you got a bunch of counters. You're getting... This is...
Denik gets 1, 2.
Ton.
And he draws a card.
Yeah.
Down to 5.
Down to 5.
Did he find a removal spell for
Needs
Skrell?
the cut down. So there. Oh.
He found his. Go ahead.
Kazune has a Shieldred of his own. So now we break even. But Jean-Emmanuel does have the Urtai.
That's right.
If Kazune goes for this Shieldred, you can
So it's perfect for Kazune. He goes for it. It
right.
gets airtied. He
Draw a
goes
card.
right into
Take
cut
two.
down. And assuming he's still alive.
And I wonder if at this point we're on the drain plan. However, there is a Denic at Kazune's side, right, with lifelink.
That's true. Jean-Emmanuel in the tank. He also, of course, could use Skrell offensively, as we described a couple turns ago.
Right, but that would leave you vulnerable to go for the throat. And
Yeah.
Kazune did pass.
The question is, at what point?
Combat.
Well, with
There we go.
Kazune being at 5, oh, okay.
Trigger Raffine.
Raffine trigger.
Interesting.
He also,
Is this-
if go for the throat is one of his
Is
main
this
outs-
just a lethal attack potentially? So let's say you attack, you draw your card. If Kazune goes for go for the throat, what if Jean-Emmanuel then goes for Urtai? Counter go for the throat, you draw a card, you go down to 3, use Skrell's ability, make it so that white creatures can't block, and that's lethal, right?
You're right, because it's only Raffine
Go
and
for it,
Denic.
John.
Match. Okay.
You draw a card.
Draw a card, take
Skrell.
2.
I resolve my opponent.
He still has time to do it.
Right.
He gets to go for his loot.
Then I
And look at this.
pay 2 life to make it.
Pay 2 life.
I paid 2 life to make white creatures under the block, and Jean-Emmanuel Depraz found the win. How does he do that?
He's a master. Incredible game. Extremely well played there by Jean-Emmanuel.
Man,
You look
Kazune
at that
has to
bo-
feel like he just got hit by a truck.
You look at that board and you're just like,
What
well,
the heck?
my opponent just has a bunch of giant creatures in play with open mana. Jean recognizing that he had the window there with the 3 mana.
Unbelievable. What a sequence of plays from Jean-Emmanuel to steal that game back.
And Skrell just being that MVP on top of that Shieldred, that
Yeah.
1-2 punch.
Funny enough, Skrell got activated one time, but the threat of activation sitting there
Right.
was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that go for a throat was sitting in Kazune's hand for several turns.
It made sense to go for it. It also gave him, Kazune, assuming he could survive that turn, it gave him the out of finding another go for the throat the next turn.
Yeah, what a way to claw back from that one, because
So
remember-
was that a timing error then on Kazune? Like, should he have blocked if he was going to first?
So
How would that
So
play
what would
out?
have happened there is Jean-Emmanuel would have activated the Skrell. So Kazune passes, right?
Yeah.
Jean-Emmanuel
So he loops.
Jean-Emmanuel has to activate the Skrell, or else Kazune can just block, right?
Uh-huh.
So,
But I mean, it wasn't a bad. What was the block situation?
well, you could have blocked with a lifelinker,
Yeah.
right? And then you're not just dead, right? So
Right, but I'm saying he's like eating Denic or
Right, yep,
getting
nope.
double blocked and killing both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it is a better situation than just potentially dying right there. But let's just say you pass and then Jean-Emmanuel goes for the activation, then Kazune goes for go for the throat,
Right.
then Jean-Emmanuel has the airtie. So he just had it set up there.
He could just counter go
regardless
for the
of-
throat with airtie.
Right,
So it
with
di-
the
it wouldn't have
amount of
mattered.
mana that was available.
Okay. What a beautiful combination there to finish up for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. He's picked up his first game. If you're just tuning in, welcome. We're happy to have you along. We're in the finals. And if you remember just a couple of years ago, that young man right there, he was in the finals then too. Not many players get a chance to come back after making it to the finals.
It is extremely difficult.
Javier Dominguez, of course, comes to mind.
And Jean-Emmanuel, who's, I feel like has just been playing in every single world championship over the past 5,
He's a
6
mainstay.
years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he told us before the tournament started that one of his goals related to winning a world championship was to be a World Magic Cup champion as well as world champion, so individual plus team. And he just took one big step towards that.
Absolutely.
This guy's incredible, though. Seriously, like, he is just always around. You said it earlier, and I want to emphasize how incredible it is, but it feels like he gets a top finish every year.
Yeah.
Like that, we say that about like Paulo, right?
That is the other person that comes to mind, where it's just like, okay, well, he's had okay finishes, but like, oh, right, he's going to come back and just top 8 another one this year. And it's the same thing with JED, right? Where you're just like, oh, he had a decent season. Seems like he should be top 8ing, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I mean, he started this tournament 4-3, then went 6-1 day 2 to lock a slot by having to win the last 3 rounds. I do think it's a little bit funny that he is playing the card that has the face of the player that defeated him in the finals a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's funny. A sign of respect, perhaps.
Fairy Mastermind there in hand.
Could have something to do with the text on the card as well.
Yeah, a very powerful one.
And it looks like we have a mulligan here from Kazune Kosaka. And Jean-Emmanuel just sits patiently and waits.
Yeah, Jean-Emmanuel.
I mean, he's one of the best players in our game. He has been for a while.
And I still feel it's weird. But, we've been following the narratives of all the different players who've had incredible runs this year, right? Simon Nielsen, Javier Dominguez, Nathan Stoyer, Reed Duke. And I just feel like it's almost like you almost forget that JED is around when he is clearly one of the best players in our game.
He is. He's a somewhat quiet personality. Yeah. He's an unassuming person until you sit across from him and play Magic, and then he says, "Can you sign the match slip?" And you're like, "What happened?"
Right. And then you look at the resume.
Yeah.
You signed a match slip, and also realizing all the different spots where he outplayed you.
Right. The other thing that I really like about Jean-Emmanuel's game is that he's a great all-around player. He is an excellent limited player. People look to him for his opinions on limited. I listen to what he says when he talks about limited. And, that was rewarded at this event where limited was a significant portion of the Swiss.
Yeah, he is very confident in his limited abilities.
He is.
That's the one where he goes, look, a lot of people know me for my constructed results, but I feel like I am a better limited player than a constructed player.
And that's part of the reason why he gets those quiet, great finishes, because those matches don't come here on Sunday. Those are the bread and butter matches that he's picking up all those match points on that get him to Sunday.
Right.
But turns out he's also an excellent constructed player.
He went 5-1 in the limited portion of this World Championship.
There you go. Okay, looks like we are underway in game number 2. Can Jean-Emmanuel Depraz take one more step? Or is Kazune Kosaka gonna...
Is that a mold of 5?
It's a mold of 5, yeah. Is he gonna equalize? It will be difficult on 5.
Right, especially with this Thalia. Those cut downs are...
Okay.
That's funny. What land is it? The same one you have. All right, cool.
Oh, that's good. Like you can't... Kazune can't play anything. Okay,
No.
okay, found the land. Maybe you just fire off the cut down now.
You definitely fire off the cut down now. And he's going to send Thalia.
That was a clutch land there from Kazune.
It really was.
Keep this game going.
Land number 3, and Rafine right on time here. So the 2-3 punch for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz.
Oh, cut down. Okay.
This is why cut down sees so much
Ooh,
play.
and a land.
All right. I like it.
Yes, he does well. He's paid to try. 3 cards.
Yes.
But Jean-Emmanuel's hand is loaded.
Yes, it is. He's had both of his first 2 threats killed, but maybe Sheoldred the Apocalypse
Right.
will stick.
But it's one of those things where you can say, okay, my opponent molded 5, and they're almost out of resources. What's the chances they have a go for the throat? Should I just double spell this turn instead? Because you can go Denic plus Fairy Mastermind. That's the other option. So that if Kazune does have go for the throat, you still have something left over. Yep. And casting a main phase here to play around, make this appear.
Judge just double checking about mana cost there. But he has the Plaza of Heroes.
Right, so you sequence it by playing the Denic first, and then you can play the Fairy Mastermind.
That's right. All right, tap out here for Kosaka. For Rafine, he passes the turn back. More good options now for Jean-Emmanuel. He can go a Shieldred or even an Airtie.
Yeah, just going for the Shieldred here.
And he might as well gain 2 life.
Right.
Jean-Emmanuel did make his life easy on that block. But up to 22 he goes before passing the turn back over.
Oh, go for the throat off the top.
Oh.
Very big draw there.
Jean-Emmanuel is like, yeah, okay.
Right? But you don't want to attack with the Rafine there with the opposing Fairy Mastermind on the battlefield, right? You're already behind on resources. Just keep it back for now.
It'll just reload Jean-Emmanuel's hand.
What a fantastic draw, though, from Kazune there.
So now Jean-Emmanuel's, you know, this is the, I don't have quite enough lands, and Jean-Emmanuel's moving towards, I have a few too many.
Right.
He hits his 6th lander up on time, but Kazune only has 3 lands on the battlefield, which means he's got more spells to go, and he's got a nice hand. Wedding Announcement, Double Virtue of Loyalty, Shieldred.
Yeah.
It's a lot of action.
I think Kazune is in a position where he's too far behind to play around much. So I think you just have to play the most powerful option here. Just playing a Virtue of Loyalty just doesn't seem like it does enough right now. And of course, it's going to get met by the Airtie here.
So that was Wedding Announcement, Airtide.
Yeah, and great 1-2 punch with Fairy Mastermind. Fairy Mastermind plus Airtie, that's a nice little combo.
And as you can see on Airtie Resurrected, its controller draws a card, not May.
Wow, and look at these draws. Jean-Emmanuel has Go for the Throat for Rafine, plus Make Disappear when Kazune has been stalled on lands.
Perfect.
And a Skrelv.
And he can even add to his board with a Skrelv? What is going on? I guess when you have 6 lands and draw 3 spells,
yeah, you have
you're good
6
to go.
lands and you can use all of it here.
Yeah, beautiful.
Pay for the ward?
Yeah, I paid the water.
You saw Kazune say, hey, hey, hey.
Would you like to pay? Yes.
Jean-Emmanuel said, yes, I will opt to pay for.
And this Make Disappear is just going to probably
just gonna
close it out
snap
here.
it off, and that should just be game.
Yeah. He's like, how much am I taking?
I suppose it's not this turn.
Yeah, you go down to 3.
Maybe Rafine off the top just to...
I think you can just attack with, oh, another Airtie.
Airtie Resurrect.
It is legendary, but you just attack. Remember, you have a Plaza of Heroes in play that can give hexproof and indestructible to any one of your legends.
That's right. So you might as well send in.
And there's...
And this is going to be game number 2. Going to Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. Oh my goodness, Paul. He is 1 game away from redemption. Just 2 years ago, he found himself in a spot where he was facing down Yuta Takahashi and couldn't quite get over the finish line. And now they're going to start consulting sideboards here for game number 3. And if he can win that, or the next one, or the next one, he'll have the World Championship
3
trophy.
shots at it. Now, if you're on Kazune's side, look, still not over. There have been multiple reverse sweeps in this top 8, right? So Anthony Lee was able to do it against Reed Duke, so Kazune just needs to channel his inner Anthony Lee and come back 1 game at a time here.
That's right. We're going to take a short break while the players consult sideboards. When we come back, we will conclude the finals. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to coverage here at the Magic the Gathering World Championship. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Chion, and we are in the finals. If you're just joining us, you missed a blistering Game 1 and Game 2 as we saw Jean-Emmanuel Depraz dismantle his opponent, Kazune Kosaka. Now, the players have consulted sideboards. We're playing best 3 out of 5 games for our final. And that means that they now get sideboards. I don't know how that changes the matchup. Does it swing it in one direction or the other? This has seemed fairly close regardless.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close regardless. Now, Jean-Emmanuel has 4 copies of Cut Down in the sideboard, so has a lot of answers to the Rafine. But, of course, doesn't necessarily have great answers to cards like Wedding Announcement and Virtue of Loyalty. So, curious what approach Jean-Emmanuel is going to take. It's like, well, I'm not going to win in the late game, so do I just need to continue my plan of staying aggressive? So how reactive do I want my deck to be after sideboards? Because you do have the 4 copies of Cut Down, great way to kill Rafine. 2 copies of AO the Dawn Sky. Really great card in this matchup. Neither decks really play exile removal, right? And it also dodges the Wandering Emperor because it has Vigilance. So that's a card you can expect Jean-Emmanuel to bring in as well. For Kazune, desperately wants all the cheap removal, right? Because he wants to play the role of the control player here. So you're going to see 2 extra copies of Cut Down get boarded in, the Anointed with Affliction, and then of course there's also 2 copies of Destroy Evil in the sideboard. Another way to kill Rafine, kill Shieldred, and potentially the 4 Wedding Announcements that Jean-Emmanuel has in sideboard.
And that looked like maybe a quick mulligan there from Kazune. We'll have to see. Yeah, he's already shuffling again.
And Jean-Emmanuel.
Yikes. Jean-Emmanuel has not kept yet, I don't believe. By the way, I don't know if you can kind of sense the tension there from Jean-Emmanuel, but he is ultra dialed in right now. I can't help but think that having gotten so close just a couple of years ago and now having a chance to redeem that loss is weighing on him on some level. He's a pretty chill guy, but I mean, he looks like he is very much focused in right now. I think he realizes I may never get another chance at this, and I need to be as dialed in as possible.
And you can tell this is also getting to Kazune.
Definitely.
I mean, down 0-2 in the biggest match of your life, and on a mulligan to 6.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy too. You saw he talks a lot when he plays, and he's vocal. But we did see him, when he made it into the finals, we saw some emotion come out of him after, and it reveals what's going on underneath. Was that a quick mulligan again?
Go to 5.
Okay, there's a smile from Jean-Emmanuel.
Sorry, but also I'm not sorry.
Oh man.
Sorry, not sorry.
Hey, if there's a time, I mean, everybody's dealt with it before, right?
Yes.
So
this is where this is where Jean-Emmanuel needs to make sure that his heart rate is nice and in the middle, because he now knows I've got a real chance to close it out here, now, this game.
This is the game.
Your opponent's mulliganing to 5.
You've kept your 7.
He did take a little while to keep it.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder if maybe it's a 2-lander.
I think it was a 2-lander. So he did have a 1 and a 2-drop, I believe. I think needs a black mana.
This is absolutely critical, though.
Right.
Keeping on 5, you can come back from. It does take kind of a specific sequence. If you have to go to 4, you're going to need Jean-Emmanuel to be on a 2-lander and never find a 3rd or something weird like that.
Exactly.
People rarely win on 4. 4 is very difficult to come
At this
back
point now, Kazune is probably thinking, okay, maybe an aggressive draw. Maybe Denik into Rafine.
There you go.
Right? And maybe Jean-Emmanuel doesn't have a removal spell. Everything has to line up properly, because after sideboard, these decks have access to so much more removal.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can get a keep for Kazune Kosaka. Come on. There's a look at Jean-Emmanuel's hand.
Yeah, I see a Skrelv, 2 lands, no black mana.
Do we have a keep here?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's figuring out which cards to put back. All right, so we have 5 for Kazune Kosaka. He has to pull out a miracle here to keep his World Championship dream alive. So what are the lands? Odawara.
All right, here we go.
And Seachrome Coast. All right, we are underway there. Seachrome Coast into Skrelv. Rafine's Tower into Denik. You asked for that.
Denik into Skitter? That's a really aggressive start.
That's fast.
And Jean-Emmanuel only has the Odawara here. Needs to find a land because Kazune has a really aggressive start. My question
really needs to find black mana.
Right. And is Jean-Emmanuel just going to run out the Denik here? Or is he going to keep up the Make Disappear? He doesn't have the option to cast Go for the Throat.
That's right.
Because if he plays Denik, I mean, Lord Skitter might get out of hand here.
That's right. Has Kazune found what he needs? There's the Plaza.
Hey, no answer. Needs a black mana here.
Black mana right now would be really good for Jean-Emmanuel.
This was a close keep for Jean-Emmanuel.
Yeah, he took his time keeping it. Swamp off the top. That's the perfect card for him.
Clutch Swamp here for Jean-Emmanuel.
Look how cool he's playing it. No big deal.
Okay.
Don't worry about me. He's going to play Rafine and attack with Denik. This is going to get a loot, and he's almost guaranteed to get a +1/+1 counter going here. Ooh, he found Dark Slick Shores. Awkward.
Not ideal, but you do want to make this at least 3 power. Otherwise, the Lord Skitter will be able to eat it for free.
So I guess just one of the Shieldreds goes away?
Probably. Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So now we're just going to race?
Yeah, I suppose so. But now Jean-Emmanuel has so many more cards here, right? And Kazune found a second copy of Lord Skitter, and a second copy of Denik.
Oh,
it's not where you want to be. Needed to find something like a Rafine here.
That's like mulliganing to 3.
Gosh.
You mean there's a downside to having all legends in your deck? Okay, well, he knows what he needs to do. He's going to jam.
He does have the Iganjo, right?
Yeah.
And Jean-Emmanuel has to sniff this out too, right? It's like, why are you attacking with the rat?
Well, it's interesting because Jean-Emmanuel's probably thinking, you're desperate, you have to do it either way, like bluff it, don't care. But also, it's 1 damage.
Yeah,
like,
and Jean-Emmanuel's at 23.
It's your Rafine, like. Skrelv doesn't help against the lands, right?
It does not. But Jean-Emmanuel can simply choose not to attack with Rafine and just keep the static ability in play.
Yeah, one of the many benefits of Rafine.
Now, if Kazune does go for the Iganjo, won't have
no blocks.
Play
He's going to play around it.
Yeah.
Once again, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz finds the right line.
But Kazune has nothing.
He has nothing
else to do.
It's all he can do is say go.
So based off of that attack, I wonder if Jean-Emmanuel is going to think, okay, that attack makes me think you probably have Iganjo. In which case, do I attack with this Rafine?
Oh, he found Plaza off the top as well, so that actually gives him Shieldred this turn.
Right, so now maybe if you're concerned about counter magic, you can run out the Shieldred first. Oh, I guess you still have mana for Make Disappear plus Iganjo with 2 legends in play.
Yeah, I wonder how important it is for Jean-Emmanuel to keep Make Disappear up at this point when he can deploy his game plan so perfectly.
I mean, you could just go for the Throat on Lord's. Okay, attacking with both.
Okay, well, he can't kill both.
Right, that is true.
And he's putting it on the Denik, assuming that this Iganjo would hit Rafine if it were there. He is assuming it is there based on the rat attack.
The Denik will be gigantic.
Jean-Emmanuel playing really well. He's so close. He started off on the right foot when Kazune mulliganed to 5. That put him close straight off the bat.
Okay.
And he's going to cash in the Plaza to save his creature.
This is going to be a lot of life that Jean-Emmanuel is going to gain here.
Yeah, it's going to make it really difficult to race, which does seem to be the game plan for Kazune Kosaka.
So can pitch Denik and Rafine, as those are redundant copies of legendary creatures. So that's +2/+2. So this is an attack for 6, and Jean-Emmanuel is going to gain 5.
Jean-Emmanuel, another step.
All right, Kazune, what do you have?
Something great off the top for Kazune. Not a land, not a Lord Skitter. Oh, how about a Shielder of the Apocalypse?
Yeah, land short though.
Can he cast it? No. See,
Doesn't
this
have
is
all
where
the
the mulligan
resources.
to 5 comes back, right?
Right.
Like, you just don't have as many resources as you normally would.
I mean, I think Kazune's only play here is just to attack for 7.
You can hear the frustration because Kazune knows how close he is to actually being in this game, which is kind of a miracle. Okay, go to combat, make a rat.
Get in for 7, or are we keeping both the creatures back?
It's just not a race that he can win.
No, right, but what's the other option? I guess you can just chump block?
Right? 4 cards in hand,
They're good.
4 good ones, and a dark, or 3 good ones and a
Three
dark
and a Dark Slip Shores. No removal.
Yeah. Okay, he's
Okay.
made his decision. Just attack with the 2 rats.
Okay.
Pass the turn back. Now, Jean-Emmanuel does not have untapped black mana for Shielder this time. Oh, when he found Go for the Throat, number
Another
2.
Go for the Throat. So we're looking at a 5/6 Denic, correct? So
That's right.
Kazune doesn't even have a real good block on the Denic, and now we're
Now he's going to start
Rafine.
spreading counters around. So any try to protect his creatures. Of course, he could find untapped black mana here. He found
Wow.
Urtai resurrected and Wedding Announcement. So those are actually, and Wedding Announcement's good, but
Yeah, I think Jean-Emmanuel
Mana
is
situation's a
interested
little
in
awkward.
running out that Dark Slick Shore. So I think that's something that he's
Yeah.
going to keep and just have to measure what other cards he doesn't want. The Wedding Announcement, maybe it's a little bit slow. He already has what he needs in play here.
so maybe
right?
a redundant, redundant Go for the Throat goes away.
And take the 3. You will take 1.
Yes.
Right.
One. Okay. Okay. You 5 again.
Yes.
Yes,
want
yes.
12,
You gain 5,
I take
Yes.
1 from the with the life gain.
right? 1 total. And there's that Dark Slick Source, just like you described, Paul. Back over to you. Kazune, the windows closing. Oh, does that do anything? Too late. Like his creatures are just
Sadly
huge
not.
now. Yeah.
Cut down only works the turn you play the Rafine, but now, I mean, they are too
Or the
gigantic.
Denic. Yeah.
Right. You can kill the Skrelv.
Man, he needed a removal spell, and he found the wrong one. He's going to make a rat. Jean-Emmanuel has to feel that he is on the precipice of a world championship. Another attack for 3, because that's just what you do if you're Kosaka here. He's got a replacement Denic, and I don't think Jean-Emmanuel particularly cares about it.
Well, yeah, I think now Jean-Emmanuel is probably just thinking, okay, maybe I'm just going to try to kill you here, right? Because we're looking at an attack
sure.
for 8. How close are we? Not quite. We can get in for 10 next turn,
All right,
right?
he did find a target for the cut down.
But if you get in for 10 and slam Shieldred,
It's over.
that would be it.
He also has Urtai resurrected,
Right?
which would protect from basically anything, as Kazune only has 3 mana available.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you slam Shieldred, if Kazune has upkeep, Go for the Throat,
Yeah.
then he's just tapped out. Then he has nothing else.
Then he has nothing else
And he's
anyway.
just gonna die on
and
the
if he
following
doesn't,
turn.
you win the world championship.
Exactly. This is it.
That's good. This looks like it's it for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. He's thinking back to 2 years ago when he got so close, finished 2nd. And now he's a turn away from improving that by 1 spot.
And he also found an Otawara to protect the Shieldred.
Wow.
Because you can discard maybe Urtai Go for the Throat or something, or one of the lands. You can go Plaza of Heroes, pass Shieldred. You can use the Otawara to save your Shieldred if you really want.
Jean-Emmanuel going through the motions to make sure that everything checks out.
I mean, you know he can taste it, right?
Absolutely. So close to getting back
Oh, sorry,
there.
sorry.
And there's Urtai to get that out of the way. That's going to clear the way for this big attack.
3.
Down
And Kazune's down to 3. Plaza go, and all he has is a pack of rats sitting in front of him. A land off the top's not going to be good enough. There is no doubt this time, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz is your world champion.
Redemption for JED. Second place 2 years ago against Yuta Takahashi. Back here and able to do it cleanly with a 3-0 victory against Kazune Kosaka.
No doubt about it. 3-0, a clean win for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. He's been one of our game's best performers for a number of years now. Consistent top finishes year after year. You kind of felt like it was only a matter of time, but this time he broke through on the biggest stage, the World Championship.
Yeah, and now, I mean, that was his dream, right? It's like, look, I want to win the World Championship. I already have the team title, right? I lost in the finals a few years ago, and so this is the ultimate goal for me, and he is now there. He is our world champion.
And he knows, he knows you don't get another chance. He knows that it's like, hey, look at that.
He went to Yuta Takahashi. He's right there watching, too.
That's incredible.
Look at that.
Yuta's sitting there. Look at that. Yuta's chapping for, hey, I'm glad you didn't beat me, but good job. And, of course, you saw him give a big hug to Gabriel Nassif, the GOAT French player. Yep. Wow. It's been a World Championship. Returns to France once again. And what a run for that man right there. Kazune Kosaka burst onto the scene here. Now, again, he had kind of a few quiet finishes leading up that didn't put his name, on the billboards, but the kind of finishes that professional players say, hey, keep an eye on that player. He keeps finishing top 16. He keeps finishing top 16. And what a performance here. Made it to the finals.
Yeah, incredible season. 2 top 16s and a finals performance. We are going to see a lot of Kazune Kosaka moving forward.
Yeah, you know what else too? A lot of compliments about his play.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people.
Simon Nielsen, right?
Simon Nielsen, you played really well, and that was after he just beat Simon.
Right.
Simon could have just said, hey, good game, and just, ran off, but he was like, man, you played well, and that's the kind of thing that makes you think, I'm probably going to be seeing him around again. But Jean-Emmanuel Depraz basking in the glory a little, and why not? He certainly earned it. Super impressive consistency from him is kind of the thing that stands out for me, Paul.
Yeah, and I think just this major title is the one thing that's kind of eluded him, right? Every year, he's going to top 8 an event. It's going to happen, but he's fallen short a few times. But finally, he's got his title. He is our world champion.
Yeah, now he's going to say, well, I want to get a PT because
right.
I got World Magic Cup. No, it's different. It's different.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
so
sure,
he wants
why
to
not?
get one of those. All right, well, that's going to do it for us from the booth. Thanks so much for hanging out. Let's send it over to the news desk where Maria sits.
Thank you so much, Marshall, Maria Bartholdi, and Monty Devuti. Here at the news desk, as our World Championship 29 comes to a close, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz is our champion. Monty, talk to me about the story of JED, because it seems to me he is just always at the top of the game.
I mean, he captained the French team to a World Magic Cup victory, and that was near the start of his career. He was doing excellent. And then